Greetings, podcast listeners, and welcome to the Pic-a-Flic podcast, a podcast that features insightful and often humorous reviews of film and television, and is hosted by me, the Western Wonder, a man of many but not too many words. This episode will be covering one of the FX Network's newest, hottest television programs of the year, and my early thoughts on it as the season progresses. Since I've only seen 4 out of the 5 aired episodes so far as this episode is being recorded, if time permits, I will cover the later episodes at another time when I can. That program is called Shogun, based on the 1975 novel of the same name written by James Clavell. The 2024 version was created by husband-wife duo Rachel Kondo and Justin Marks, the latter of whom was part of the writers' team on Top Gun Maverick, and is also the second television adaptation of the book, following the critically acclaimed NBC miniseries which were made back in 1980. I'm excited to talk about this show, so let's get right into things. The premise of Shogun is fictional, albeit loosely based on historical events and figures, which dates back to the 1600s. The 3 central characters that prominently feature are John Blackthorne, played by Cosmo Jarvis, a British pilot, or engine in Japanese, who, along with his crew, ends up shipwrecked in feudal Japan, a nation that has recently seen one of its leaders suddenly pass away. Lord Yoshi Toranaga, played by Hiroyuki Sanada, the Busho/head honcho of the Kanto region, and my new wife, the very erudite Lady Mariko, played by Anna Sawai, a loyal follower of Toranaga's and Blackthorne's translator who has intrinsic skills and fascinating family lore. As the story progresses, Blackthorne and Toranaga come together to form an alliance as tensions rise between Japan's political overlords, most of whom are running a petty game via secret mobster-coded ordeals with the Portuguese. As Shogun is still rolling out new episodes weekly, I will solely cover the positives that I've gotten from the show so far without not spoiling much for any listeners who have yet to check the show out. So to start things out, I must say that I was extremely impressed all around with the production design, sound, cinematography, and costumes. The sound and cinematography in particular complementing the other extremely well, especially during the action sequences in the show, with set sequences being extremely bombastic and often righteously gory. For instance, off the rip when a Blackthornsman ends up being boiled alive, and this goes on for a little minute. This is off the first episode alone. Then there are sudden murders that happen at the drop of a dime, but it sucks you inside the universe and uncovering the pieces. The production, set with beautiful lighting and framing of scenery and costumes, takes you within that time period as well. It's all around a beautiful sight to behold. Then there's a terrific cast that accompanied the story, and as I previously mentioned, the 3 leads I wanted to give them their props for their roles. Cosmo Jarvis portrays Englishman John Blackthorne with sublime snark and strong ambition to get back home ASAP, and a side note, his facial features are eerily reminiscent of both Josh Hutcherson and Tom Hardy combined. Hiroyuki Sanada brings a lot of wisdom, strong will, and mystique to the role of Lord Toranaga, and is simply a delight to see on the small screen as the storyline progresses. And he is one of 2 characters that I love to take a peek in their closet and borrow some clothing, with emphasis on the term borrow. And Anna Sawai brings intelligence and humbleness to the role of Lady Mariko. And, hold up, I just received a message from Past Life Western as if he was watching her with John Blackthorne in real time. Roll tape.
Dear Mr. Anjin, I hope that this message, which is definitely not unfairly real threat, finds you well. I simply want to wish you congratulations on your journey, but I have been noticing that you've gotten to warmly get to know my beloved better half. I must warn you that I am open to a battle if I even sense a fragment of your unmentionables around my spouse's orbit. Must I remind you, I am the little Richard to your Pat Boone, as I am the innovator, the originator, the emancipator, and the architect of fine sailing. Don't take this to heart, as there are no hard feelings from me to you, only wishes of distancing your wistful, puppy-eyed presence away from my lady. So once again, I must suggest that you should stay back from her as far as possible, you barbaric, fear-mongering baths. Happy travels, the Western Sailor.
This is the current Western Wonder here, and I approve this message. Now, where was I? Oh yes, the characters. Deep within the world of Shogun are a lively bunch of supporting and or recurring characters, but there are 2 in particular that have stuck out to me as I want to mention. The first being the madman himself, Kasiji Yabushige, expertly played by Todanobu Asano, a guy who is playing in both sides of the field. One minute he's vowing pure, genuine support for Lord Toranaga and his plans, and in the other plotting against his downfall with the opposing leader. Seeing Yabushige's schemes always backfire to some degree leads to hilarious facial expressions or witty one-liners from him. I don't have time for this Christian nonsense being one of his many bangers, and I'm particularly interested in seeing where his character ends up in the final episode. The other character that I'm still getting to know is Lady Fuji, played by Moeka Hoshi. This gun-wielding bad mamma jamma who aids Blackthorn but is such a big firecracker that she could easily hold her own, which is inspiring in itself once you look into her tragic personal life and what happens to a spouse and child. Another character that gets an honorable mention from me would be the Spaniard guy Rodriguez, who befriends Blackthorn early on. A very funny performance from Nestor Carbonell, an actor who is about to make my Gen Z card show itself, as the first thing I know him from is voicing Senior Jr. in Disney's Kim Possible. Lastly, as I close out, the storytelling is quite an intricate piece of history, even with the fictional elements intact, as it represents a time frame of cultural clashes and conflict and the ups and downs that come out of the events to follow. Similarly to Killers of the Flower Moon, it made me put the original source material, the book, in the back burner to check out at a later time. All in all, out of 5 stars, of course I'm going to give Shogun a 5. It's become an immersive show to binge through while other programs I enjoy, such as The Boys and Only Murders in the Building, are away, and it keeps you at the edge of your seat with each passing fleeting moment. I cannot highly recommend it enough if you, my fellow podcast listener, haven't seen it yet. So get on it while it's still churning out the episodes weekly. Now, coming up next on the Pic-a-Flic podcast, my review for the 2023 adaptation of The Color Purple, the Broadway musical adaptation that is, and plenty more to come down the line. To stay updated on when new episodes are coming out, be sure to follow the show on Twitter or Instagram at Pic-a-Flic that is PICAFLICPOD. You can also check out previews on TikTok and YouTube under the same name, as well as exclusive reviews on Letterboxd, also under the same name. Hey, and if you want to follow there, I'll be sure to follow you back. As always, I hope you enjoyed this episode, and you'll tune into the next one. But until then, this is the Western Wonder, signing out.
Bye, have a great time.